Architecture collaboration tools are supposed to make remote teams faster, but if you've worked in AEC long enough, you know the real bottleneck isn't your design tools. It's the files. A single BIM model can be several gigabytes. Then you add render packages, CAD references, point clouds, and suddenly sharing work with your team becomes its own workflow. Files have to be opened, then saved, then reopened, then synced across locations, and every one of those steps slows your team down. So in this video, we're going to break down some of the best collaboration tools for architects, how remote AEC collaboration actually works today, and why large file workflows are still the biggest friction point for remote architecture teams. Now, in theory, remote collaboration in architecture should be pretty simple. Everyone works from different locations, shares files through the cloud, and collaborates through tools like BIM platforms, storage systems, and project management software. But the reality is more complicated because architecture projects are massive. Between BIM models, CAD drawings, high-res renders, point clouds, and simulation datasets, these files easily hit multiple gigabytes and are constantly changing. So when teams rely on traditional infrastructure for AEC workflows, things like file servers, VPN access, or synced cloud storage, the experience usually looks something like this. An engineer opens a large project file, then waits, sometimes for 5, maybe even 10 minutes, just for the model or drawing to load. And that delay happens every single time a file is opened or saved. Now multiply that across dozens of engineers, multiple offices, and hundreds of files opened every single day, and instead of focusing on design work, engineers end up waiting for files to open, save, or sync across locations. That's the hidden cost of traditional AEC infrastructure. Because when file access is slow, whether it's through VPN, remote servers, or distributed storage, every interaction with a project file slows the entire workflow down. Now, there's a lot of tools that are designed to support AEC collaboration. Project management platforms help coordinate timelines and deliverables, communication tools help keep teams aligned, and BIM collaboration platforms allow architects and engineers to coordinate models. Each of these systems solves a different piece of the collaboration problem, but none of them eliminate the biggest bottleneck: slow access to large project files, especially for distributed teams working outside the office. So that's when many firms start investing in more infrastructure, expanding VPN capacity, upgrading SAN or NAS storage, or deploying virtual desktop environments. But even with those investments, remote engineers can still experience slow file access because the underlying problem, which is latency and distance from the data, hasn't really changed. It can work fine for documents or small media, but architecture projects aren't small, and that's why large file collaboration in architecture often just becomes a waiting game. Slow file access adds up fast, especially when engineers open and save the same large CAD or BIM files dozens of times a day. So this is where a different type of architecture collaboration tool starts to matter. Instead of forcing teams to connect through VPNs or download synced copies of project files, what if everyone could access the same centralized data instantly, no matter where they're working? That's where LucidLink comes in. LucidLink works differently from traditional cloud collaboration for architects because it relies on a different kind of technology: file streaming. This means your files stay in the cloud, but anyone on your team can access them instantly, as if they were stored locally. When someone opens a large BIM model, the system streams only the pieces of that file that they actually need, not the entire data set. So instead of waiting minutes for a large model to open over VPN, the files begin to open almost immediately, even for remote users, and teams can start working right away. And for architecture teams working remotely, this approach removes several of the biggest bottlenecks. First and foremost, it eliminates slow access. Your files stay in one centralized location, and everyone accesses the same data in the LucidLink file space. Second, it allows large files to open much faster, since you're not moving the entire dataset across the internet every time. And third, it keeps projects synchronized across distributed teams. Architects, engineers, and consultants can all access the same project files without maintaining separate local copies. That's why file streaming is becoming an important piece of modern remote architecture collaboration. It turns the cloud from a storage location into an active workspace. Now, of course, architecture projects rarely involve just one team. Your projects often include consultants, contractors, visualization teams, and clients who all need access to the same files at the same time. So another critical part of AEC collaboration is making sure multiple users can safely work on the same files without conflicts. That's why LucidLink includes global file locking, which prevents multiple users from accidentally overwriting the same CAD or BIM file. When someone opens a file for editing, it's automatically locked for others, ensuring that project data stays consistent and protected across distributed teams. For architecture teams managing large deliverables, this means fewer exports, fewer transfers, and fewer distributed file copies, and it becomes a faster way to hand off work to consultants or external collaborators. Remote architecture collaboration isn't just about communication tools or BIM platforms. As architecture projects grow larger and more complex, traditional file transfer workflows become harder to maintain, because waiting minutes for large project files to open or save simply doesn't scale for modern BIM models, CAD drawings, and simulation data. If you're building a remote architecture workflow and dealing with large project files every single day, the way your team handles file access matters just as much as the design tools that you use. Because when teams stop waiting for files to open, collaboration moves faster too. So switch to LucidLink and subscribe for more videos where we'll show you how you can make your workflow actually flow.